Well, hello, everybody. I am JV Brown. Welcome to Trip Across America. And I have a very, very special, unplanned episode for you right now. I am about to bring on one of the most important guests that I will ever interview in my entire career. From this point forward, doesn't matter if I interview 10 more guests or 10,000 guests, presidents, kings, captains of industry, none of them will be more important to me than this next guest. I am talking, of course, about my awesome son, Camden. Camden, come on. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Say hello to everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Camera's right up here, so that's where you want to look.
Alright.
So, what happened to your tooth?
I lost it.
You lost your tooth?
Mhm.
Yeah. That happens when you're about 8 years old, right?
Yeah.
So today, folks, we want to talk about parenting in a pandemic. Real life, no bull. All right. So let me see if I can get you up a little higher so that banner doesn't cut your face off. There you go. So, hey, man, what do you think about this whole coronavirus situation? What are some of your thoughts?
Well, I don't get to do as much things as I used to because I don't get to play baseball anymore. Well, I get more family time. That's good. I miss school, my friends, and my teacher. It's kind of hard.
So a lot of changes to what your normal looked like, right?
Yeah.
So you had just sort of a normal routine that we would do, whether it was, get up, get ready for school, go to school, have your schoolwork done at school, interact with your friends, interact with your teachers, and then when school was over, we would pick you up and then usually have a little snack, right? And then we would go to sports because you're a big athlete.
Mhm.
Tell the folks what kind of sports you play.
I like baseball. I like wrestling. I play football. That's kind of what I do.
Pretty much any sport you'll try, but those are the three that you play like for real, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So very busy life, and you have two sisters.
Yes. Two
Yep.
sisters.
One is also in school. The other one's in preschool.
Mhm.
Their lives have been changed quite a bit as well, right?
A lot.
So let's talk about school for a minute. How has school changed for you? Because it's different for everybody out there. People all over the country might have a different experience. So how's school changed for you?
Well, it's kind of more hard because the people at my house are making noise, especially Olivia.
Olivia is our youngest, his youngest sister. She's 4, so she does have a lot of words. What else? What about like the way you do your school?
Well, it's not as fun because I don't. It's not as fun.
Why isn't it as fun?
Well, I just miss my friends, and I can't do my work with my friends. I just have to kind of do it alone.
So you spend a lot of time doing things like by yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, that's not really your favorite, is it?
No.
You miss your friends.
Well, we get longer recesses at our house.
Yeah, we do get long recesses. That's true. We call those mommy and daddy sanity breaks.
And
You know what I'm talking about.
And we're actually allowed to talk in more than 2 minutes at our house, and at school we can usually talk for like 5 minutes, and then the rest of the other minutes we can't really.
Yeah, man, we're pretty free. Like we let you get away with a little bit more. We're a little bit more lenient with the chattiness at the house and snacks and playtime. But there's some downsides to it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you miss your friends, you miss um Camden, of all of our children, I'm about to talk about you instead of to you, so forgive me for a minute. Camden is our most extroverted child. Do you remember Daddy telling you what that word meant the other day?
It means you like to be around people.
Yeah, you enjoy other people and a lot of interaction with other people, and your tank gets filled the more interaction you have with other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the opposite of that is an introvert. So if an extrovert is what I just described, what do you think an introvert would be?
A person that doesn't really have that much friends, is kind of worried about stuff, and they don't really like to be around people.
Sometimes it isn't, sometimes they could be worried or nervous. Other times they might just prefer to be alone and do solitary. That's like alone. Solitary means by yourself things. And their tank, what do you think would be filled up with?
Not that much.
Not that much interaction with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, if they had a lot of interaction with people and they were the type of person that didn't really, it stressed them out to be around people, do you think that would fill their tank or would it actually empty it?
Empty it, probably.
Yeah, probably empty it. So everybody's different, right? Your sister, your Savannah, your middle sister, she's a little bit more introverted. So
Mhm.
I don't think it really bothers her much to not be around people. You and Olivia
Oh yeah.
are very extroverted. Dad is too, and mommy is an introvert. So our family, we sort of have a little bit of everything,
Half and half.
right? Yeah, yeah, a little bit half and half. And Nana's kind of in the middle too. Um, so the way that you're doing your work is almost 100% on the computer now,
Oh yes.
right? Was that the way? Was that how you did your work before?
Most of my work at school was on paper, and sometimes we used the computers, but most of the time at school was paper, and now it's like computer.
Yeah, now it's on computer. Hey, you got some folks saying hello to you. So you got Justin saying, hey, Camden, John Balcazar saying, yo, yo, and hey, little stud. Matt Sheeran says, yo. And Matt says, long recess. He's a huge fan of the long recess as well. You know, adults like long recesses too. We just call them something entirely different.
What do you call it?
We have a fancier word for that. Well, it's not really fancy. It just sounds more professional. We call it a break.
I know what a
Yeah,
break
we call it a
is.
break instead of a recess, but it's just really recess for grown-ups is what it
Okay.
is. So have you found that it is more stressful or less stressful to do your schoolwork on the computer at home mostly?
Um. Well, it's kind of stressful and not stressful because my hand doesn't get tired after I write so long.
Yeah, it's easier to write, sure.
Yeah, but my eyes get kind of weird when they stare at the computer screen. Like they get
Yeah.
weird.
That's a great point, man. I hadn't really thought of that. You're not we don't do a lot of like they don't our kids don't have phones or anything, so they don't do a lot of screen time normally. And before this, it wasn't that often that you had to do yeah, John says I think we call it a happy hour. You're right. That's our recess is happy hour. Yeah. Um, you didn't really look at the screens a lot, and so now you're staring at a Chromebook for what 3, 4 hours a day, and
Mostly 2 or 3.
yeah, your eyes are not used to that, right? And your screen isn't nearly as big as this one that we're looking at right now.
Mm.
Why do I have a feeling after this you're about to steal one of my screens? I don't like the way you're looking at it, son. Stop checking out my screen. So, what do you think has been the hardest thing you can remember, like the worst moment? You know, sometimes when things get difficult, we have a bad moment that's like a worse moment than any other. Can you think about what's been your worst moment? And then we'll talk about your best one, but what's been your worst moment like since when this whole quarantine pandemic situation started?
Well, yesterday it kind of scared me because I fell on the floor and it hurt. Started hurting. I didn't want to go to the doctors. I was worrying.
Oh, you turned your ankle and you
Yeah,
were worried that you hurt
hard.
your ankle, but you were thinking I didn't know that. So you were thinking, "Oh man, I hurt myself, but I really don't want to go to the doctors because I'm afraid I'm going to get coronavirus."
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's heavy. That's kind of scary. That's totally scary. Yeah, I can see that you're anxious even saying that. Um, what about yesterday when you had a little bit of a challenge with one of your quizzes and your tests that you took?
Oh yes, I did.
Want to talk about that?
I wasn't that happy because I didn't really. I thought I didn't get a good grade, but it actually turned out pretty fine. Because well, I got 2 questions out of. I got 2 questions wrong out
Mm-hmm.
of 5 questions. One was a written question, so
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got 2 out of 2.
And what was this about?
School.
Yes, we know. What subject was it specifically about?
Poetry reading.
Okay, and so you had to like read a poem.
And then I had to say like what it was about, and that could be kind of hard for me because I don't really understand poems that good.
Context, yeah, context is a little hard sometimes.
I understand books, but not poems.
Yeah, you're a great reader. Poetry is difficult for grown-ups even. If I read a, if I read a poem and another person reads a poem and then another person reads a poem and there's three of us, poetry is interesting because sometimes you can have three very different ideas of what people just read, even though they just read the same thing. Does that make sense? Sounds weird, right?
Yeah.
You can read the same thing, but poetry is one of those things that is a little bit trickier than just a. Like you really like biographical and historical.
I like reading about people.
Yeah, you like history and you like
Mhm.
biography. You like facts,
Yes.
right? Not so much wishy-washy opinion stuff.
Because I have like a lot of like books about history, like who was Nikola Tesla, who was Stephen Hawking, what was Area 51, and where were the Twin Towers.
He's 8 years old, by the way, folks. This is just his. We don't choose these for him. These are the things that he likes to read. So, Nikola Tesla, what was he all about?
I finished the book a couple days ago, and he created electricity, and one time he actually made a promise with Edison, like if you Edison said if you do this work, I'll give you like $500,000, and Tesla took all his time doing all of this for days and days and days. And then when it finally came, Edison actually tricked him, and he didn't give him the $500,000.
Wow. That's brutal.
Mm.
Looks like we froze, so I don't know if we're still on or not, buddy.
Me neither.
Yeah, we kind of froze here. I'm not sure if we're still going. It hasn't happened before. I don't know. It's weird. Let me see. Let me mess around with this for a second and see if we're still good to go. All right. Uh-oh. Now it's really frozen.
Uh-oh.
Let me try reloading it. Huh. I don't know, man.
What happened?
Gosh, I don't know. This has never happened before. It's a good thing it happened with you and not somebody else.
If we're still going, someone just send something.
Yeah, well, the whole screen is like my entire browser seems to be frozen. Let me try that. Uh-oh. I think the whole computer just crashed on us.
Okay,
All right, I think we're back.
go.
That was weird.
Yeah.
My browser crashed on us and everything. So what were we talking about before
Okay,
that
so-
happened? No, Nikola Tesla.
Yes. So he made this deal with Edison, and Edison said he'll give him like $500,000. He'll give that to Tesla if he did this work for like a really long time. So Tesla did the work for an extremely long time, day night, not really stopping. And then Edison, and the day finally came, and Edison tricked him, and he didn't get the money.
That's not a very nice thing to do.
Yeah.
To promise somebody a business deal that if the person does a bunch of work for you, that you'll pay them, and then they get him to do the work and then to not pay them. What lessons do you think you could take from something like that?
Well,
So if you're Tesla, what would you do differently in the future if that happened to you? Would you do work for somebody without them paying you first?
I would have them pay me first.
Pay me up front, cash in hand, baby, right? Or at least some of it.
Some of it.
Right? And then I wonder why Tesla didn't just do it for himself. Tesla was an interesting guy, wasn't he? Very smart. Well,
and one time Tesla he had like an umbrella, and he jumped out the window with an umbrella, but he got really hurt.
Oh.
Yeah.
You
When he
know,
was a kid.
experimentation in science is kind of like that, right? Like for everything good that happens, there's probably a whole lot of things that were not so hot that didn't work out the way that you thought they would, right? Life's kind of like that.
Mhm.
So when you had your test the other day, the poetry test, and the first time you didn't know that you were going to get another chance to do it. You just thought that you failed.
Usually my teacher gives redos, but it doesn't happen that much. Like she sometimes does.
Well, tell me if you're willing to be super brave, and I know that you are. If you're willing to be super brave and talk about how you were feeling after the first time and what happened, would you tell the folks a little bit about how you felt and kind of what you did? Like tell them what you did and how it made you feel and what happened.
Well, I wasn't feeling that happy. I kind of got like sad, and I'm like, oh, I need to rest my brain. I need to take like a 5-minute nap, and I ended up taking like a 10-minute nap. So like,
yeah, you went over on the couch. You were pretty upset, right?
Mm.
Did you even cry a little bit, right?
Yes.
It's okay to admit that, man. I
Yeah.
cry sometimes.
Mm.
And what were you most upset about?
Probably my grade. I've never failed a test. It was a 60%.
Yeah. But what was it about failing that bothered you?
I just don't know.
Were you worried about anything?
Yes.
What were you worried about?
Well, I was kind of worried about like, well, I don't really know what I was worried about. I just worried didn't like the grade I got.
So you worried because you have a high expectation for your own performance?
Yeah, the lowest grade I've ever got usually is like 80s or something like that.
And you're mad about that?
No, I'm not.
What about were you worried about how mom or dad or your teacher would feel?
Yes.
And how do you what was it about that worried you?
I thought you were gonna be mad.
You thought that mom or I or your teacher would be mad?
Yeah.
Yeah. That must have been very scary for you
Yes.
to think that your mom or dad might be mad that you didn't do well on the test. That's a lot of pressure to put on yourself, you know?
Mm.
So guys, I wanted him to share that story because it's real. And it hurt me as a dad because he was upset to see him so upset over what to me as an adult and to some of you might be not a big deal, but to a kid, it's a really big deal, right? That's what
Yes.
you got. That was your thing that you had to do that day. That was like the end of your day to know that you did a good job and it didn't go the way that you hoped it would, right?
And that's actually the same day I got my foot real hurt.
Yeah. So it just was a frustrating day, like not the
Mm.
best. Ray Diskusky says, "Hey Ray, how you doing, buddy?" He says, "Get paid in advance."
What does
he's
that
talking
mean?
about Tesla still, or poor Tesla did all that work and didn't get paid for it. Um, yeah, man. So sometimes it's just one of those days, right? You need a do over.
Mm.
But we had a chat about that, didn't we? After that, and did you feel a
Yes.
little bit better about it?
Better, yes.
Maybe you remember what Dad said to you?
I won't. I can not that much. It was something like this. I won't be mad at you if you get a bad grade on a test. That's kind of what you said. You
Absolutely.
wouldn't be mad at me even if I got it like a 0.
Yeah. It may have been more colorful than that. Actually, I was probably pretty tame in that situation. Sometimes when I'm trying to make a point, I have a little bit of a sailor's mouth. I'm not proud of that, but I do.
What does
I
that
try
mean?
hard on these. A sailor's mouth means you use potty words sometimes. I try hard on my live professional appearances, these, and of course when I'm actually out there in the world, not quarantined, to try not to swear too much. But in and around the
You're doing
house,
good.
I do let them fly. Oh, thank you, son. I appreciate that. And sometimes I do it for effect. And I can remember specifically a time when Camden, parenting, like, it's not a science here, guys. We know that, right? And kids, with your parents, like we're just kind of figuring out as we go. We love you very much, and we're trying to understand the best way to parent you as we figure it out. And we kind of figure it out together, right? What works and what doesn't. And I don't know if you remember this, but there was a time when most of the kids out there have to take standardized tests, whether it's a
First
county,
grade.
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember that.
whether it's a county assessment or there's the national standardized test that they have to take periodically. And look, there's a lot of pressure put on these kids to do well on these tests because there's a lot of pressure put on the teachers, the administrators, the school districts to perform. And that's how funding is decided. It's how teacher pay is decided a lot. So I think that they sometimes can't help but put a lot of pressure on the kids. And I just remember one time in particular where, similar to yesterday, you just were struggling and you were really upset for a few days and we couldn't quite figure out what it was. And then you finally told us that you just were really nervous about these upcoming standardized tests and
Yes.
and and it was bothering you, and I could sense it was bothering you. So I won't. There might be kids watching this, so I won't specifically repeat what I said, but I did use a cuss word, and I did it on purpose. I didn't yell at you, but I basically said I don't give a doo doo about those tests. And the truth is,
I remember
I
that.
really don't,
I remember
because
that.
remember what I said? I said the way you do, how you do on those tests, really is not going to affect you at all, not one little bit, because your grades are what they are. Your experience with your teachers are what they are. Your parents are heavily involved in your school, and we're going to figure this out together. All that is part of a statistic that does something for your school. I don't care as your dad about those tests one bit. And when I said that, did it make you feel even like a little bit better that you didn't have to worry so much about it? Just to do
Yes.
your best, and then whatever happened, happened, right?
Yes.
So what's our thing in our house, right? We do our very best,
Mhm.
and then we just kind of let what happens happen. We sleep on it, and there it is.
Mhm.
So I want to get back to how you kind of felt in that moment, because was it, one, you were stressed, you didn't do as well as you wanted to on a test, and then what are the kind of things you like to do when you feel stressed normally when we're not in a quarantine?
I like to play baseball.
Yeah, right. So go play baseball, go wrestle if we're wrestling, play football,
Yes.
do something with your friends, go to a park. You're a very active kid. That's how you fill your tank in another way. So to be stressed out in a new situation, trying to figure out a new way to do things and not quite understanding it, worried about what your parents are going to think, and to, in your mind, to fail, not to, perform the way you wanted to, and to have nowhere for that energy to go, that's a lot,
Mm.
right? That's a lot. So it totally makes sense to me that you had a little moment there. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And as your dad, maybe someday you'll watch this on Facebook and you'll have your own kids and you'll understand what I'm about to say. at no point during that time was I even thinking like, gosh darn it, Camden didn't do good on that test. How dare you? Not at all. The only thing I was thinking was, oh man, my little buddy's really struggling today. How can I do a better job helping him just deal with stuff? Because we're all figuring this out and it's hard, you know? Man, I thought I was white and I am, but you're super white. You're like ghostly. Look at you, like a Casper, little Casper ghost. Man, so well, let's shift topics a little bit. Let's talk about some of the positives. It hasn't all been bad, right?
No.
Coronavirus, quarantine. What have been some good things about this whole situation?
Well, we used to have like a really packed schedule and we couldn't really have as much family time, but now we do.
Yeah, family time, man. We are very busy people. Sometimes maybe we're a little bit too busy. Ray, yes, sir. Take care of yourself, man. Miss Tabitha, I'll put this up here, says that you are, well, you can read.
He's a very well-spoken young man. Thank you for sharing.
That's what she said. Isn't that nice? You can say hi to her if you want. Say hi, Miss Tabitha.
Hi.
Yeah, so a lot of good family time. That's been amazing. That's been my favorite part of quarantine is a lot of family time just spent quietly, kind of the way I grew up, actually. It was a lot quieter time to grow up in the 80s. And I also grew up in Maine. And at that time, and probably even still today, it's a little bit of a quieter place than where we live now. And I miss that sometimes. So this has sort of given us a little bit of a taste of that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten. Hey, what are some things that we've been doing that we never did before?
Well, we've been doing a lot of relay races in our backyard. And this one thing that we did, so Daddy had a basketball and he was on like a deck, and then the slide was like all the way over here, and I was on the slide. He had to try to bounce the ball all the way to me, and I had to try to catch it, and I had to slide down and catch it at the same time. So he bounced it, went up in the air, I slid down, and I caught it. It was cool.
Like all the way across the yard. It was like our dude perfect moment. Mm-hmm. Did we get it on the first take?
Not the first try.
No, we're just going to reveal our secret right now. The video's up there, I think.
It took us 5 times.
Yeah, I think it took us more than that. I think it took us like 12 times. But the dude perfect guys, you know, the ones that do all those crazy tricks, they do like, oh no, they people don't know this. They video those things like 100 times just to get it right once. Imagine having to do something 100 times so you can capture it once. Bananas, right? Bananas. So yeah, we've done some cool outdoor stuff because we've had to be a little creative with getting physical activity out there, training our bodies, because that's important, right? Staying physically fit. What about in the house? What about some stuff that you've been doing with Nana that we didn't do before?
Well, we started this puzzle. It's like 1,000 pieces.
Whoa. That's a lot.
We haven't finished it yet.
Hey, you learned to play a new game. What'd you learn to play with Nana? Cribbage. And he's pretty good. Like, you keep beating her. I think she might have taught you too well.
So, I skunked her once. She skunked me once. And then I don't know who has more wins.
I don't play cribbage, so I don't know what that means.
You've played it before.
I don't remember, though. When I was a kid, I think I did. In fact, I want to say during school at some point, we played cribbage in a class, which seems weird now. But I just don't remember anything about it. But it sounds like you beat her.
Skunk means you beat the person by a lot. If you double skunk them, that means you beat them by a real
lot. Oh, man. So, like, double skunking is like what the University of Georgia does when they play like Arkansas State.
Something like that.
Right. Okay. What about cooking? How is that food. That's a good one. So how is we used to go out to eat a fair amount, not because we were trying to be unhealthy, but because we were super, super busy. Like our schedules were a little bit ridiculous. And so we just sort of, we would just sort of eat where we could eat, right?
Yeah.
A lot of Chick-fil-A, a lot of takeout, that kind of stuff. Well, we can't really do that. I guess we could, but we're a little freaked out by it, so we're not. So what are we doing a lot more of now?
Now we're cooking meals at home.
Cooking meals at home. Yeah. Which some of you are like, so, but that's a pretty big change for us because we weren't doing a whole lot of that.
Yeah, I've got to try some foods I've never tried in a long time.
Yeah, what are some foods you've tried that you have never tried before? Or
I found out I like shrimp.
You did find out that you like shrimp, jambalaya. You've been so awesome. I really appreciate that, man. Because look, it's hard to be a kid and try new stuff. And man, all my kids have been so good about mostly not complaining and trying new foods. I really appreciate that.
I'm getting better with liking ham.
Ham, yeah. That's still not your favorite.
It's not my favorite.
Is chicken
it's getting better.
Is chicken still your least favorite food?
Still. Oh well, tied with Brussels sprouts.
Okay, first of all, Brussels sprouts are disgusting.
I know.
Don't ever let anybody tell you anything different.
Nana is the only one who likes Brussels sprouts in the house.
In the house, that's true. There's a lot of folks out here probably who like Brussels sprouts, but I'm with you. I don't like them either. But
No
you don't like chicken, which is tough when you're a kid. Don't like chicken unless it's what?
Unless
there is a kind of chicken that you do like.
It's fried chicken.
Fried chicken. That's because you were born in the South, and you like Chick-fil-A in particular, right?
Fried chicken.
Chick-fil-A. It's the darndest thing. You don't like chicken, but Chick-fil-A is fine.
Yeah, I like.
That's like being vegan, but bacon's cool. That doesn't make any sense.
Dad.
Sir.
When are we gonna eat crappy?
I need to qualify a statement here. He just asked, when are we going to eat crappy? If I left that alone, some of you would be like, what? He doesn't mean eat poorly. Crappy is a type of fish. Some of you know that, but our neighbor's grandfather comes once in a while and they do a big fish fry, and he's in South Georgia, and he brings up a whole bunch of crappie, and he likes to fillet them and bread them and fry them. And of all things, he likes fried crappie. That's the only fish he likes.
No. Oh. I like grouper and pollock.
I didn't know you'd ever had grouper.
Remember a long time ago?
And he did just have fish chowder. My mom made fish chowder with pollock because we can't get haddock down here, and that was pretty good too. So you made food. You found a YouTube video. There's a YouTube series on called Depression Cooking with a sweet old lady and her family. She's since passed away, but before she did all these cool videos of her experiences during the Great Depression and some of the meals that they would make. And I thought it would be neat educationally for him, especially because he's old enough to watch that and learn something about what their life was like in a different type of pandemic. It wasn't a sickness pandemic, but it was very much an economic pandemic. The Great Depression lasted a long time, and people had a hard time back then, right?
And back then, potatoes were worth way less than today.
Yeah, we did the math, right? It was significantly less. So tell people about the meal that you decided, because he saw one of the meals and he's like, I want to make that. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So you made it. What was it called?
Poor man's meal.
Poor man's meal. What was in it? Tell people about it and how you make it.
There was some hot dog, there was some onion, and what else was in there? Oh, what was
potatoes?
It? Oh, potatoes, yes.
And that's basically it.
Yeah.
A little bit of like a spoonful of marinara sauce at the end. But so tell people how you cook it. What do you do with the potatoes?
You peel the potatoes and then slice them into tiny pieces and then put them in the pan.
In a little bit of oil, right?
Yes.
And then you just kind of you fry them up, right?
Yeah.
Fry them up a little bit. Around. And then the onions go in?
It's going, same thing. But
do you just stick the whole onion in there, like throw it in?
No, you gotta cut it up and peel it.
Oh, okay.
You can't have onion skin.
Okay. So you cut it up in like big pieces or small pieces?
Tiny,
okay.
Tiny.
All right. And then at the end, like...
We got some hot dog and then chopped it up to like medium pieces.
Medium pieces, hot dog goes in, then you fry that up too. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then at the end, if you want to, you add a little bit of that marinara sauce. Dude, you crushed it. You did such a good job. It was a good
tasty.
Meal.
The girls didn't like it, but I liked it.
I liked it too. I will eat it again.
All the grown-ups and me liked it, but then the girls didn't like it. Oh, Olivia, I think, liked it. And then Savannah didn't like it.
Yeah. Oh, you're kicking the table here, buddy. So you've been making bread.
Oh, yes.
From scratch. Homemade bread with Nana. How cool is that?
My favorite bread that Nana makes is like the first kind she started making.
Which is just a traditional homemade bread loaf.
Yeah.
You made that one. You made one of those batches completely by yourself. She was just there telling you what to do, right? Watching. But you made it. You're the one who mixed the ingredients, kneaded the dough, punched it. You have to punch it, right?
I like that.
That's fine. That's your favorite part, punching the dough. Do you remember why you had to punch the dough? So
it doesn't get it's not stale.
Well, too many bubbles, it gets too big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you have any any things that you would want to say to other kids out there that are in the middle of this coronavirus and maybe they're not feeling so good? Maybe they're missing their friends or they're disappointed or things aren't going well. You got any tips or thoughts for those kids out there? Look right here and tell them.
This thing's not going to go on forever. It's I think it's almost over, and we can go through this strong, and we can still do this. We can play in our backyards. We can have fun still. We don't always have to play out there. Sometimes we can just play at home and have fun. Sometimes we can play games.
So make the best of what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about when things get hard and they have a bad day?
If you have a bad day, and when you go to sleep, that day is over. It's the next day. Like you can just forget about that.
Yeah, man. Are there any like powerful secrets or resources or like anyone they can go to if they have a challenge?
You can go to your parents.
Yeah, absolutely. Who else can they go to?
Um,
At least in our house.
or their grandparents.
Grandparents. Yep. Yep. What about prayer?
You can pray to God.
Yeah.
Sometimes my dogs actually help.
Your dogs too?
Dogs help.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, dog is God spelled backwards.
Yes.
Yeah, man. We can go to Jesus. We can pray. We can talk to your parents. We can just do something. It's okay to take a break sometimes. This is not a natural environment that we find ourselves in. And parents, I'd say the same thing to you. Look, we're all trying to educate our kids now, and those of us who are not used to homeschooling. And let's be real here. And this is an important point. What we're doing is not homeschooling. Okay,
not really.
It's different. Homeschooling.
It's doing school from home.
That's it. We're trying poorly, to the best of our ability, to replicate public school in a home environment, distance learning. That's not the same thing as homeschool. It's very, very different. So it's challenging. It's tricky. We're trying to meet very specific deadlines and timelines that are being given to us, and make sure that that they have what they need and that they are fed and that they're emotionally healthy and stable, and get our work done and do our normal stuff and deal with our own stuff. So really the biggest thing about this was we wanted to kind of talk to you folks and let you know that it's hard sometimes and we're all in this together, and you don't need to feel like you're alone, because you're not. Everybody's going through the same thing. And you know, kids out there, here's a kid who is an athlete and he's having a hard time missing sports. He's missing his baseball season. He's missing his buddies. He's missing his coaches, and he's missing his school friends. He's missing his teachers. And most days are good. Some days are not so hot, and that's okay. It's okay to feel like that. Same with parents. So, you know, just we're doing the best that we can. Don't let anybody shame you into feeling like you're not doing good enough. This is a new normal, and there's nothing normal about it. So we kind of figure it out, get through it together, and we just make the best of it, right? I will say this. I will forever, ever, ever be grateful to God for this extra time that I got to spend with you. That has been an incredible gift and an incredible blessing. And I am so grateful that if I have to be quarantined, I get to be quarantined with you and your sisters and your mom and Nana. Love you, dude.
Love you, Dad.
I feel like this would be a good time for a hug. You feel it too?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Love you, buddy.
Love you, Dad.
We're matching hats here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me go through the comments here and see if anybody had any comments or questions. Let's see. Oh, Joshua Roy. So Joshua Roy is a gentleman that I went to school with when I was a kid. Yeah. Many pounds ago, less facial hair, more hair on my head then. He was also a Bucksport Golden Buck. Yeah, what do you think about that?
Cool.
So he says, I love this. Keep up the good work. So it's good stuff. He's appreciating this conversation. Let's see. Miss Lori's on here. She says, no one has ever parented a Camden before or ever will again. Isn't that the truth? There's only ever one Camden. I'm the only one. You and Mom and I are the only ones that get to parent you. We're so grateful for that. I absolutely love this. So it looks like folks enjoyed our interview, and I think everything I said is true. This is to this point and probably moving forward the most important guest that I will ever have on my show. Anything else you want to share with? This is your moment, man. There's your camera. There's your public. Anything else you want to say to the audience out there?
I just hope everyone has a good day and they don't get sick or they don't get hurt or nothing bad happens, and you have a good day.
That's awesome, man. Good stuff. All right, everybody. Leave your comments if you want. Oh, it's Jeff moonlighting on Lori's account. I think he borrowed Miss Lori's account so he could use it. So he's trying to trick us, but he came clean at the end. You want to say hi to Mr. Jeff?
Hey, Jeff.
All right. So, listen, interact with us, guys. A lot of folks are going to watch this after the fact, either on YouTube or on one of the Facebook channels that I put it on. What's going on with you and your family? You know, how are your kids doing? If your kids want to pop on and say hello to Camden, please let them do that. And I'll let him respond in the comments as I see him. If you guys want to have a dialogue about the realities of parenting right now, let's do that. We can chat about it. Let's take the stigma off of it, and no pretending, no need to, an old pastor and a friend of mine used to say, and I really love that. No pretending, no need to. We can just be real about what's going on. And Facebook Perfect is a little bit different right now, right? So we're going to get through it together and have a little bit of fun with it. So, for example, later on, I got one more interview that I have to do. I'm doing for someone else.
Can I watch it? Can I stay in this room and watch you?
Probably that might be a bit distracting for me. So that's another good example of boundaries. Like we're working on setting boundaries because sometimes as much as I enjoy your company, it's distracting to have you in the room with me because I enjoy you so much that I want to look at you. And then I'm like, wait, did you just ask me a question? Because I was looking at you.
Yeah, sometimes I'm trying to do my work and then my sister just come up and go, I wanna play. Can you play? Can you play? I wanna play.
Right. And it's hard because they don't understand and they want to play, but you're trying to do work and you don't want to be mean, but you still have to get your work done. So it's just a little different, right? Yeah, it's tough.
And so usually Olivia, she doesn't really do work, and she's like, "Play, play, play."
Yeah, play, she's 4. It's hard to digitally distance learn with your kids when you have a 4-year-old baby sister in the house, right? Yeah. So Miss Tabitha says my kids miss their friends, teachers, and extended family one day at a time. That's a pretty good way to say it, right? We all miss everybody, and we just look for a time when we can have a little bit of normal. Even, man, what would you give right now just to be able to watch a daggum football game? Right? Like it'd be so cool to actually watch
football.
Yeah, real bad. And then all this stuff happens, and we're Patriots fans, and not only are we dealing with coronavirus, but Tom Brady just daggers us in the heart and leaves and becomes a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That's how I feel about that. Having said that, much love to Tom Brady. We still love him anyway. I asked Camden. He's got a giant fat head of Camden on his of Camden. That'd be weird. That'd be super weird. He's got a giant fat head of Tom Brady on his wall. And I asked him a few days after the whole thing happened, which we were pretty devastated about, if he wanted to take that down. And what did you say to me?
No.
Why?
Because he still will always be on the Patriots.
In your heart. Yes. I love that, man. Loyalty. Oh, don't bump the table. Loyalty. Not enough loyalty in the world today. I appreciate that.
I don't like the Buccaneers. I only like Tom Brady on it.
Nobody likes the Buccaneers. They were irrelevant up until this moment, but that's okay. And we're Falcons fans too in our spare time. So, but there hasn't been much to cheer for. Todd Gurley, absolutely.
I'm happy about that.
So, some of your Bucksport family will watch this. You want to say hi to them?
Hey, everyone.
Wonder how everyone's doing up there. Man, not only are they in a coronavirus, they got snow.
That's fun. That puts something to do.
I bet you that they don't think it's fun. Maybe the kids do. I bet you their parents don't.
I bet it's fun.
It's fun because you've never had to deal with it before.
Yeah, the biggest snow we've ever got is probably this year in January. It was real good. It was really good. And then and we made like a 6-foot tall snowman. It was like taller than Daddy. So it's probably standing at the same. It's probably 2 inches shorter than Rob Gronkowski.
What did Daddy do to that snowman?
You football tackled it.
From like 20 yards away, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
I regretted that afterwards when I realized in midair that I had to land somewhere, and I'm 40.
No, you're 39.
39. I'll be 40 in 2 months, but believe me, I feel every bit of 40.
I feel...
believe me. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
I feel 5, like I'm 5 years
So you feel younger than you are.
And I'm 8.
Good for you, man. Anything else you want to say, or you think we're good?
I think we're good.
I think you did an awesome job. I'm very proud of you. Thanks for doing this, man.
You're welcome.
I normally give my guests a thank you note. So I'll just write one out and give it to you, I guess.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks everybody for spending some time with us. We will this will be posted on YouTube later. It'll stay on the Facebook group and my personal page, I think. So you can catch it there, and we could do more of this type of stuff in the future if it resonates. You want to come back and be a guest if folks want to talk more about this subject and what we're doing?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.